Welcome to episode 24 of Rebirth Revolution. My name is Melissa Olson. Everything that happens in your life is either a pop quiz, a midterm, or a final exam. So we know that you have to pass tests to move into higher grade levels. You must demonstrate proficiency. But how do you set that in motion by yourself? We all wish it was simple, but often it's not. It involves the hardest thing that most of us ever face. We have to feel things. Our entire psyche is designed to keep us from feeling things. We are masters at trying to keep everything exactly as it is. And does that cause us misery? I remember back when the kind thing to write in someone's yearbook was, "Stay exactly as you are." What a curse that is. Imagine staying a high school senior for eternity. Hard to imagine that anyone would think that would be a good thing. If we could freeze frame everything and everyone right now, we would do so because we think we can handle what we see and feel right now, but aren't so sure of how we'll do when any of it changes. We stifle our feelings with shopping and eating, intoxicants and entertainment. The craziness of the world around us is screaming that everything is changing, which immediately sends us into a tailspin of trying to shut that information down. But you can't escape the fact that change is happening, and happening at a faster pace than ever. Something in our brain always convinces us that any change will surely be for the worse. Our fear of what comes next obliterates any thought that a change may actually make our life better, richer, and more fun. We assume change is bad. We are not particularly good at recognizing that the changes we have weathered in the past led to better things. Our lives would be much better if we could stop assigning judgments of good or bad to situations that have yet to unfold. We cannot immediately know the outcome. It may be decades until we can look back and realize that a terrible event made the best things in your life possible. Our human brain cannot do that kind of math. The life ahead of you depends on your willingness to face the challenges. You don't get to decide what those challenges are, though you can make choices that have natural consequences that become a challenge. All of this change is a perfect device for moving yourself forward. But to do that, you need to recognize that you're going to feel some things, and they are not all comfortable. Your brain has protected you from dealing with issues that you have stored away since you were a baby. There is a reason your brain protected you. If you're going to do this, you need to have methods in place for dealing with uncomfortable feelings. Have these down to a fine science before you begin the journey forward. No two people will find solace in the exact same way, so be willing to work out your own combination of methods. Start by noticing what you do now when you hear or see something that upsets you. What is the strategy, and does it work? There is the route of thinking about events to deal with them. The sorting things into mental baskets, assessing the sources, looking at it through your current level of understanding, deciding if it matters, maybe writing about it to get it up and out. It's a whole process. Others are capable of simply sitting with the feeling and letting it pass through them. It may sound easier, but it is really some high-level stuff. Just sitting is often the most difficult thing of all. Some can move through it by physical means, running, walking, working it out. Your end goal here is acceptance. This thing happened. Your goal is to take a difficult experience and spin it into gold that you can use to enrich your current life. Your goal here is to forgive yourself and others and move forward. It hurts to get unstuck, but it hurts even more to let yourself be paralyzed by something from the past. Instead of moving upward and onward, you've decided to bench yourself in one spot and stew in one experience or a pattern of experiences. The point is to see the pattern, fix the pattern, and free yourself to do better, thereby opening up to better experiences and better outcomes. Don't feel afraid as you deal with an issue to feel the full sadness of that experience. This is not a time to regulate yourself with thoughts that others have it harder or things like that. You need to acknowledge the issue with complete abandon. It won't kill you. The things you do to try not to feel the feelings may kill you, but the thought itself will not. And once you do get through an issue, make sure you give yourself credit and remind yourself of your success as you move forward to the next challenge. You have so much strength and power that is still untapped. You are ready for everything. Everyone in the system will go through the same process, though no two processes will look exactly alike. Everyone starts out at the kindergarten stage and will work their way through the lessons needed to see them graduate from college as an enlightened master. The journey may take 9 to 10 lifetimes. At the end of your time in this school, this time around, your progress will be measured. This is not a measurement of earth success. This is a measurement of spiritual awareness. Every activity and interaction on earth gives you the opportunity to reach outside of your comfort zone and move to a higher level. The important outcome is always the spiritual growth. If you came to Earth as a spiritual second grader, established and maintained a billion-dollar company, and at the end of your life you are still a spiritual second grader, you have gained no ground. You did establish a framework within which many others worked through their issues and moved forward, but you did not. No points are given for bank balances, fancy cars, or trophy wives. In fact, the founder of that company may have made no progress, while the janitor used their job and their interactions with others, along with their family life, to move to a college level. That person can be a source of light for everyone whose path they cross, while the CEO serves as a constant threat to the spiritual lives of the employees. I don't think that most people who hit it big are ready for the advanced course they are taking. They're not clear on what is to come. Let's use Mark Zuckerberg, the head of Facebook, as an example. Here's a guy with some computer knowledge who helped design a software application that would record the relative hotness of the women at his college. So we're not off to a stellar start when factoring in his intentions. I'm sure he never understood the full power and reach his software would eventually have. I don't know if he expected that people would dangle huge amounts of money in front of him to strip the identities of those who used his product. But you know what they say, if you aren't paying for the product, you are the product. His business practices have been brought into question over the years, and that has always seemed to surprise him. Since he recently decided that his platform will not do anything to ensure that the ads people pay him to run contain any truth, he is now running the biggest disinformation business on the planet. Our democracy, which requires some shared truths to survive, is in his hands. No one could have seen that coming. It amuses me personally and professionally because I can't get an ad run on Facebook for my business that has text on a photograph that says 50% off in addition to the name of the company. It is rejected for having too many words. Seriously. I suspect he is thoroughly confused by all the opposition he is currently receiving. He is being vilified by many. For him, he is a guy who's been wildly successful in Earth experiences. How do we know? His company is huge. Everyone knows his company and his name. He has more money than most could ever imagine. That, our culture tells us, is a big win. He is a big winner. But he doesn't know about the 3 tracks. He is so focused on the earth experience that he is not taking into account either his own spiritual awareness level, which would require that he act with integrity, or the effects his choices have on the collective culture. So a chorus of people who are at higher levels of spiritual awareness, a chorus of people who understand that one man should not have the power to profit from misleading people, and those who can see what that could do to the collective culture are trying to illuminate for him his gap in awareness. We'll see if that works. But we need to change the misunderstanding in our culture that the one with the most money and power gets to decide for the rest of us. That will lead to the ruin of us all. Power and excessive amounts of money poison most people who have them. It's the job of the rest of us to serve as the opposition, the checks and balances that keep a system where we all get to make choices with the best information possible. It is our job to keep in mind that there are bigger issues here than whatever will produce the most money. We need to be concerned with doing the right thing. We need to be concerned with truth, integrity, and compassion. It must be confusing when you're having great earth success and you're told you're a bad person. It's hard to reconcile if you aren't tracking your own spiritual awareness level. Also, having it pointed out to you that your choices are negatively affecting the collective culture must be jolting when you think you are above the judgment of those you believe to be inferior to you. The way our time in this school is measured does not line up with conventional wisdom. In this school, the person who shows up, does the work they're paid to do, and lives a life of honor can catapult their way past the people who others believe to be at the top. The people at the top have more earth power, and they also have many more reasons and opportunities to make bad decisions. The measure of their success is based on money taken in, which is not the appropriate measure. They are constantly tempted to make a choice they know to be wrong in the interest of making more money or amassing more power. It is the darkness coming for them. With great opportunity comes increased attention from the darkness. I'm not saying you should shy away from power. You just need to understand your reason for wanting to have it, and you need to be fully aware that you make yourself a target for the darkness. How will it come for you? It can activate your human frailties and at the same time make you feel compelled to remove any guardrails that might save you. You will feel the need to silence any opposition, which is always the kiss of death. Some of the ways that the darkness will show up: lust. People who wouldn't have spit on you if you were on fire suddenly want to have sex with you. Greed. If some money is good, then all the money would have to be great. Wrath. No one will stop you from cruelty to others. Your worst behaviors will be tolerated. Envy. Someone always has more power, money, a bigger boat than you, which will somehow become a huge issue for you. Pride. You think you are the greatest of all time, and no one can tell you otherwise, except for that nagging voice in your head that suggests you're a total fraud. Another way that lots of money can short-circuit your growth is that you always have the option of paying someone else to handle the challenges that come your way. Obviously, we all enjoy that, even without a bunch of money. We don't all have to drive our trash to the dump because we pay someone else to do that. I'm talking about the people who don't have to value anything because they can easily replace it with another thing. Or the people who don't care about their actions because they can pay others to get them out of trouble. Money can become a device that separates you from others and from the lessons that are embedded in the ordinary. Power and success have enormous power to grow you and grow others, but you have to be constantly in check with your intentions and motivations. You also need people you trust, people who are guided by truth, integrity, and compassion, to tell you the absolute truth. These are few and far between when people just want to bask in the orbit of your power or success. It's tricky business, and you can never let your guard down because it's not unheard of for someone to make a decision at the end of their reign of power that drags them back down to the spiritual level from which they came. In this part of the rebirth, we're beginning to see who everyone really is. Having power, success, and money do not necessarily make them good or bad. It doesn't mean they're passing any or all of their courses. It just means this is the curriculum they have chosen, and the challenges it contains were ones they thought they could handle. But people are simply the choices they make. People are who they support and what they will justify in doing so. The actions that people take are the only things that matter. If you have power, make sure you have people who will hold you accountable. You have the opportunity to do great work, but only if you stay in your integrity, honesty, and compassion. If you do not have power, hold the feet of those who do in the fire. We must hold people accountable for the choices they make and the effect of their choices on the collective culture. The worst thing we can do is to give up and give in to the notion that people are all terrible or that people are all anything. We need to stay in this fight, expecting more from everyone. That is how we will get where we need to go. Thank you for listening to Rebirth Revolution. I'm grateful that you take the time to listen. Welcome to new listeners in Ohio and Illinois. Let's keep this growing. Any help you could give me in getting the word out about this podcast would be so appreciated. If you could like and review us on Apple Podcasts, that would be great. We can be found everywhere podcasts are found and on YouTube. If you have any questions, email us at rebirthrev@gmail.com or leave a comment on rebirthrevolution.com. Until next week, stay open, act with integrity, trust your intuition, and expect good behavior from everyone. Remember, you are loved exactly as much as every other person on the planet, not 1 ounce more or 1 ounce less. Have a powerful week.